The Galactic Council chambers hummed with the crystalline resonance of 1,000 alien voices, each representing civilizations that had conquered the stars millennia before humanity had learned to forge bronze. Danny Chen stood at the center of the amphitheater, her small human frame dwarfed by the towering forms of the assembled delegates. The holographic display before her flickered with data that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of history itself. "Impossible," hissed the Velcrin ambassador, its chitinous plates rattling with indignation. "Your species only achieved spaceflight 3 centuries ago. You are children playing with toys you barely comprehend." Danny smiled, the expression not quite reaching her eyes. She had heard variations of this dismissal countless times since humanity had joined the galactic community. The young upstarts, the naive newcomers, the primitive apes who had stumbled into the cosmic playground. "That's what we thought too," she replied, her voice steady despite the weight of 10,000 eyes upon her, until Dr. Noah Reeves made a discovery that changed everything. The hologram shifted, displaying an image of a weathered man with graying temples and eyes that held the intensity of someone who had glimpsed the impossible. Noah's face was familiar to most of the council. He had become something of a curiosity among the galactic elite, the human archaeologist who insisted on examining alien ruins with primitive tools and outdated methods. 3 months ago, Danny continued, Dr. Reeves was excavating on Kelmar 7, studying what your historians claimed were the remains of the first civilization, the ancient culture that predated all others, the mysterious builders who left artifacts across 100 worlds before vanishing without a trace. The Kelmar delegate, a being of pure energy contained within a shimmering field, pulsed with what might have been amusement. "We are aware of Dr. Reeves's fascination with our ancestors. His theories have been entertaining." Danny's smile widened. "He found something that your people missed in 10,000 years of excavation." She triggered the next sequence, and the hologram exploded into a 3-dimensional rendering of a massive structure buried beneath Kelmar 7's surface. The council chamber fell silent, the only sound the gentle hum of the projection systems. "DNA," Danny said simply. "Dr. Reeves found organic samples preserved in a stasis field so advanced that even your best scientist can't replicate it. And when we analyzed that DNA..." She paused, letting the tension build. It was human. The chamber erupted. Delegates leaped to their feet, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of disbelief and outrage. The Velcrin ambassador's voice cut through the noise like a blade. "Preposterous. You claim that humans, you primitives who have barely explored your own solar system, somehow predated the first civilization? Not just predated," Danny corrected, her voice calm but carrying across the vast space. "We were the first civilization." Noah's image reappeared, this time as a recorded message. His voice was tired but triumphant. "The evidence is irrefutable," he said. "The DNA matches modern human sequences with 99.7% accuracy. But more than that, we found records, written in a language that took us weeks to decipher, only to discover it was a proto-form of ancient Sanskrit." The hologram shifted again, displaying fragments of text, architectural plans, and star maps. Danny watched as recognition dawned on the faces of the more astute delegates. "The first civilization seeded 73 worlds with life," she explained. "They uplifted dozens of species, gave them the tools to build civilizations of their own. And then approximately 50,000 years ago, they left. They returned to their homeworld and deliberately erased almost all evidence of their existence. Why? The question came from the Talari observer, a species known for their philosophical wisdom. Why would a civilization of such power choose obscurity? Noah's recording answered, "Because they had become gods, and they didn't want to be gods anymore. The records we found speak of a great debate, a philosophical crisis. They had shaped the galaxy in their image, and they realized the terrible responsibility that came with such power. So they made a choice, the hardest choice a civilization can make." Danny took over the narrative. "They returned to Earth. They sealed away their technology, scattered their knowledge, and forced themselves to start over. They chose to forget, deliberately regressing themselves, giving up everything they had built. And over tens of thousands of years, we forgot who we were. We became a young species again, rediscovering fire, reinventing the wheel, relearning how to reach for the stars." The council chamber was silent now, the weight of revelation pressing down on every being present. "But why?" the Talari asked again. Why reveal this now? Danny's expression hardened. Because Dr. Reeves found something else in those ruins. A warning. The first civilization, our ancestors, left a message for whoever would eventually decipher it. They spoke of something they had awakened in the deep void, something they couldn't stop despite all their power, something that forced them to hide, to regress, to hope that by becoming small and insignificant, they might be overlooked. The hologram displayed a final image, a vast dark shape at the edge of known space, moving with impossible slowness toward the galactic core. It's still out there, Danny said quietly, and it's still coming. Our ancestors hoped that by the time it arrived, they would be forgotten, invisible. But they also left behind everything we would need to fight it, hidden in our DNA, buried in our myths, encoded in the very structure of our brains. We just had to remember who we were. She looked around the chamber, meeting the gaze of each delegate in turn. We're not the young species anymore. We're the ancients, and we've been preparing for this fight for 50,000 years. We just didn't know it. Noah's final words echoed through the chamber. The question isn't whether humanity is ready to face what's coming. The question is whether the rest of you are ready to follow the lead of the civilization that built the galaxy you inherited. Danny Chen stood alone at the center of the Galactic Council, and for the first time since humanity had joined the stars, the galaxy looked at Earth with something other than condescension. They looked with hope.